Stunning new developments in the Florida gas station killing that riveted the nation. Could 47-year-old shooter Michael Dunn walk free? It looked like he may face the rest of his life in prison for attempted second-degree murder of 3 unarmed teens. But wait, one of the nation's most famous attorneys predicts those convictions will not stick. If you think the mistrial on first-degree murder outraged people, imagine if Jordan Davis's killer wins back his freedom on appeal. Also tonight, juror number 4 speaks out, saying the software developer got away with murder. She's revealing secrets of the explosive deliberations that had jurors yelling and cursing at each other. After 30 hours of debate, they still could not agree on whether Michael Dunn murdered 17-year-old African-American Jordan Davis.
You all first took your first poll on guilt or innocence on the murder of Jordan Davis. What was the vote?
10-2.
10 people thinking he was guilty.
Yes, sir.
And 2 said?
Self-defense.
2 said self-defense. Right from the start of the deliberations, 2 of her fellow jurors were convinced Michael Dunn shot Jordan Davis in self-defense during a fight over loud music. When the jurors took their final vote, the split was 9 for guilty and 3 for self-defense. Does the prosecutor have any chance of getting a guilty verdict if she retries Dunn for first-degree murder? Straight out to the Lion's Den, I want to start with Rolanda Watts, who's been here throughout this entire saga. Your reaction to the fact that from the get-go, 2 jurors were convinced it was self-defense and wouldn't budge, and even convinced a 3rd person.
I think the self-defense created a problem from the very beginning. And I think that, and that's what that juror who came out and spoke publicly said. And I believe that that is the issue. The self-defense issue threw the jury off from the very beginning. And I think we're going to have real issues if in the second go-round they stand that ground, so to speak.
Well, Dunn's former neighbor says he's a racist. We heard from him on this show. We've seen letters that are racist in nature that Dunn wrote from jail. We heard him call, and please, this is offensive, but we're getting the facts out here. He called African-American inmates thugs and animals. Yet somehow the issue of racial bias never came up at the trial. So how did it affect the jury? Listen to this from ABC.
For a lot of folk in America, they would say, white man shoots and kills a 17-year-old black boy. How could it not be about race on some level?
Sitting in that room, it was never presented that way. We looked at it as a bad situation where teenagers were together and words were spoken and lines were crossed.
Jasmine Red, attorney for Trayvon Martin's family. Of course, that's the teen who was killed by George Zimmerman in a similar case. How can we blame the jurors for not noticing the big elephant in the room when prosecutors never brought race into the case?
I think we need to start addressing race directly in these cases. And we don't have to assume that just because he was a white man and shot this 17-year-old kid that was black, that it was racially motivated. And the reason that we don't have to assume is because we have Michael Dunn's own words. He referred to the music as thug music. He wrote racially biased letters from jail. So we have his own testimony. I think we need to directly front the issues of race because this case was clearly racially motivated.
Well, Boyce Watkins, social commentator, founder of Your Black World, they didn't do that. The prosecution did not do that. And then many experts said, well, unless you charge him with a hate crime, you wouldn't be able to get any of those things in.
Exactly.
Well, you know, I think that it's very interesting that we're so afraid to talk about race. I mean, you know, imagine if Jordan Davis had defended himself and pulled out a gun and shot Michael Dunn instead. I would say Jordan Davis would be in prison right now, and he would have gotten a very long sentence. I know people who've been sent to prison for over a decade for situations that were clearly in self-defense. I think that anybody who thinks that Dunn was defending himself is delusional. They have no logical evidence to support that point. There was no weapon. There was nothing that Jordan Davis did on that night to show that Michael Dunn was in danger for his life. So the key is if you have at least one delusional...
Jane,
all right, hold on.
First of all, right.
I think that's actually rather insulting to the jurors. And let me say, I want to commend this woman for speaking out because, you know, she has no obligation to talk to the public. And I think, contrary to whatever the verdict was, I think justice was served in this case. And that's because these jurors did exactly what we want them to do. They went in that room. They deliberated. They asked questions. They looked at the evidence.
All right, stop with the platitudes. We all love jurors.
Justice.
Let's get to the facts of the case.
Right, but that's so to say to suggest there was no evidence that this was self-defense, I think is rather insulting to those jurors that spent 30 hours.
We have a right to question the verdict. Come on, this is America,
What about
John.
the dead kid? I think it's more insulting to the dead kid.
That juror also said
one at a time. Hey, panel, hold on a second. John Liebman, make your point.
The way the law is written, we are asking these jurors to put themselves in Michael Dunn's head and decide for themselves what he felt was a reasonable threat to bodily harm. So we can definitely talk race, we can have that conversation, but we also have to have the conversation about the way the self-defense laws are written in some states, including in Florida. It's extremely hard. It was extremely hard for that jury to try and put themselves in Michael Dunn's head. They come in with the same biases. Any group of 12 people comes in with the same biases that a lot of different people
I've got to get to this. If you're upset now, look, famed attorney Alan Dershowitz slammed prosecutor Angela Corey, saying the people of Florida should get rid of her, claiming she overcharged Dunn with first-degree murder. He predicts the 3 guilty verdicts for attempted murder related to Dunn shooting at the 3 other teens as they drove away will likely be overturned, claiming the smarter charge would have been assault with a deadly weapon. Listen to this.
I think she may also lose her appeal on the attempted murder case. There is a chance that he could walk as a result of prosecutorial ineptitude. It's possible.
I mean, Rolanda Watts, if he walks on the 3 attempted murders,
I think I really think this nation is going to have a real major issue. I mean, this is just ludicrous. What I do appreciate is what the juror pointed out, is how unnecessary this entire thing was. The man should have just gotten in his car, turned around, and gone on about his business. And as a person in society, whether you're black or white or whatever, mind your own business. If he had done that from the very beginning, thank goodness juror number 4 gave some humanization to this whole thing. Because this is, they don't have a case without bringing in the racial issue. So what it looks like to me is the prosecution doesn't plan to have a case. And this man could possibly walk free. Then you're going to have to deal with America, when people are tired of you shooting and killing their children.